Welcome to the channel about news from around the world. While you subscribe and like it, we're going to start.
Britain pays a lot of attention to its armed forces in policy planning, and suddenly it turns out that not only soldiers, but also officers are starving. And this is not even an exceptional case, but quite a systemic phenomenon. And this is reported by the British TV channel Sky News. According to him, soldiers and officers of the British Armed Forces, including the Royal Air Force, are facing serious economic difficulties due to the constant rise in inflation and falling living standards. Their financial situation is so dire that they are forced to face the difficult choice of buying food or paying for fuel to travel to the duty stations. This situation inevitably affects the morale and fighting ability of the British military, because sometimes it comes to a very ugly picture. Due to high inflation and constantly rising costs of living, British soldiers are in a real economic crisis, as their salaries are low. Their families also face hardship and have to turn to charitable organizations for help. Also, information obtained by the TV station confirms that some members of the Royal Air Force have found themselves in a difficult situation, where they have to choose between food or fuel. This means they cannot afford to travel home to visit their families. One Sky News interviewee expressed his outrage and frustration. "I'm incredibly angry and disappointed that we've got to the point where personnel have to rely on charitable agencies to just exist. Such evidence not only confirms that the cost of living crisis is having a negative impact on the nation's defense, but also raises serious concerns about the physical and emotional well-being of military personnel." Another sad example is the story of an Air Force officer, a single mother, who did not eat a hot meal for 4 days because she spent the last of her money on formula milk for her baby. This is despite the fact that London is not as bad as the national average, and the capital offers various benefits to the armed forces. So, despite the benefits provided, soldiers and their families still face hardship and have to seek help from organizations that specialize in financial support and food aid. This is a worrying sign that further improvements need to be made to the system of providing support to soldiers and their families. The morale of British airmen has suffered a serious decline due to inflation and housing problems. The chaplaincy study notes that these factors are having a negative impact on the military. In addition, another factor that is creating pressure on the armed forces is the issue of pay. Of particular concern is the skyrocketing inflation rate. Chaplains report that a sense of discontent is spreading among the military, as they may be ordered to replace striking public sector workers who are demanding pay rises. One need only cite one figure to understand the root of the problems. With average inflation running at 12% last year, indexation of pay for the military has been carried out only once, and to the tune of just 3.75%. But instead we know where British money is going. In fact, the whole world knows it. And a significant part of it is also plundered, rather than being spent on fighting the enemy, which for some reason they consider Russia to be. So it is not that London has no money at all, but it has none for its own army. And other people's armies, it must be admitted, also receive little because of theft. This is the merry life of British soldiers, and here we want to remember the famous saying that a country has the government it deserves. For so many centuries the British elite looked at everyone as their colony to be robbed and exploited, that in the end they look at their own people in the same way. And even the army, without which it can never be an empire.
Thank you for watching. If you're interested, subscribe and leave a comment.